So you think that the ayahuasca journey begins when you start the trip? Personally, I think that it begins when you end the trip. In no way am I promoting the abuse or sale of ayahuasca. Ayahuasca is legal in Peru, and I'm solely making this video to educate, to bring awareness. I'm in no way boasting about this and doing it at 19, and I feel like I can just give you my own personal experience with it, as well as the overview and advice I got from shamans and nurses I feel that I can give to you that will be extremely helpful. Any precautions, integration, my actual experience with it, and the journey, and just everything. I will give you sort of like overview over here, and also timestamps will be down below so you can just click through all that. But yeah, I won't ramble on for too long. Let's just jump right into the video. So ayahuasca is a ethnogenic brew in South America, and it is made out of a vine. It's typically in a tea, and it has very powerful hallucinogenic effects. There's the DMT chemical substance in it, but many people have used this medicine to heal from their mental illnesses, from depression, PTSD. A lot of war veterans come here and they have said that it has shifted their life. It is something that brings the consciousness, the subconscious into the consciousness. You're meant to do it with a respected shaman in a ritual ceremony. It is the most powerful, basically like psychedelic, one of the most powerful psychedelic medicines out there. So it's very intense and it should be respected as such. I was given a very strict diet to follow 1 to 2 weeks before the actual day, and this included like avoiding canned foods, red meats, very salty food, and very sugary food, and especially pork, because they said that it was high levels of toxicity. There is a lot of preparation which you want to follow, and you really want to respect that as well. They recommended me to not take any prescription drugs, so I was taking anti-malaria tablets at the time, and they said that was fine. Also not having any sexual contact for I think 3 days, because they say that you will lose a lot of sexual energy. And essentially they advise to practice any spiritual practices beforehand. So meditation, yoga is really good. This is a medicine. I want to treat it as such, and so I wanted to find that was there anything in myself that I needed healing with. So I had to do a lot of inner work, and I had to really reach in my mind and figure out what my true intention was for doing ayahuasca, and that is the most important thing. I was thinking I don't want it to be like I'm doing this as if I am doing this for a fun experience or a recreational experience or even something to boast about, because I feel like where I come from and what I've heard about it, and at my age, around my age, a lot of people sort of saw this thing as this like really cool drug. I didn't do the 1 to 2 week retreat that people usually do. I actually did 1 day. And just from hindsight, I feel like 1 day just wasn't enough. But I feel like over time in this retreat, the more you do it, the more you really grow with it, and the more, I guess, it reveals about yourself. And here comes the week of my ayahuasca ceremony. The day before, or may have been the morning of, I did a volcanic water cleanse, which is basically water from the Andes. It is this healing water which basically detoxes everything from your body. So I was drinking this very salty water. It was just, it depends on your stomach. So some people will drink like 6 cups this big. So you'll have to keep drinking this water until basically you will start pissing in the wrong hole, essentially. So in the hole that you would usually do, number 2. I was also given hydrolyte, and this was basically to replenish my body with a lot of water, because I had to come into this ceremony very hydrated, because ayahuasca can actually suck a lot of water from your body. So I had to be drinking, I think it may have been 2 bottles, one one bottle before, and I had to bring 1 bottle on the day. And then I had to eat a really good healthy meal for dinner, because on the day of the ceremony you're meant to fast and have no food at all. I was nervous, but as I started to journal, as I started to meditate and really think of my intentions, I guess I got more calm. I did not have much sleep as well, which is really bad, because I had actually put myself in a party hostel, and I don't know what my mind was thinking. I think I just wanted to challenge myself actually by resisting all these temptations. So I carried with me, and I would advise this, to bring a journal. You want to come into this trip with no expectations at all, because it is so different for everybody. I cannot stress to you enough. I had a private nurse actually to look after me. This was really good. I had a private nurse, and I had and she was sort of like a translator as well, because the shaman couldn't really speak much English. I was in Cusco in Peru, and I was driven to this beautiful place in the Sacred Valley, surrounded by nature, by hills, by all these animals. And I was taken to the place, this really humble shelter. Actually, before that, I had to go to a place where I had to fill in a checklist to see how I was doing and if I had followed the diet correctly. So I filled the list actually as honest as I could. So I did actually say any rules that I did break, and that was fine. Like, they didn't really bring me up on that. At a doctor, it was essentially like a medical practice. Like, it was they did really want to do it in a safe and comfortable manner. And so I was taken to the actual place in the Sacred Valley where I did do the ceremony. And this is when I also had a cacao ceremony, which is basically when the shaman has the cacao leaves and they sort of blow on it like this, and they sort of like, it sort of goes in a direction, and you basically ask the shaman a question. After that, the translator and like private nurse, she told me what to remember before the trip. Now this is very important. She calls this the 7 pillars, and as long as you remember these 7 pillars throughout the trip, you will be fine. And I wrote this down. I forgot 2 of the pillars, which isn't very helpful at all, I'm sorry, but it was courage. So go in there with courage no matter what. Have courage and just be brave. The second one is love and trust. So really trust in yourself, love yourself. Respect yourself, respect the medicine, respect everyone around you, respect the surroundings. The other one was control. I actually remember that now. I didn't write that, but I just remember that on the top of my head, was control. And they said that control is really important, because people would actually like, especially when they do a group one, if people are screaming and crying, and you know, it really is very daunting for the other people in the room. And they said to have control, be humble, and forgiveness. Forgive yourself, especially forgive yourself, I think, and forgive those around you. So those were 6 pillars. There's one more that I cannot remember, but the nurse did say something that really was embedded in my mind. She asked us, who is it that you love in this world? And I remember me and the person who was going to do the ceremony after me said, well, I took a really long time to answer. I didn't know if it was a trick question. I said my mum and my dad. And she said, and he said the same thing, and she said, no, that's not the correct answer. It's you. You should love yourself. And I was like, wow, like before that, it was just, even though it's so cliche, it wasn't even something that came to both of our minds first. They brought the ayahuasca in a bottle, and they gave me a cup. I drank that cup. Very small. It was maybe around like this, like almost like this small like this much. I drank that. Some say they hated the taste. I honestly didn't mind the taste at all, and I think it's because I've had a lot of like Chinese herbal medicines. I sort of lay down and I had the electrolytes, the hydrolyte bottle next to me, because you're meant to drink it throughout the trip. As soon as I drank it, lay down, I fell asleep because I was so tired, and then all of a sudden I felt like this kick, like in me, just this kick, and I was like, okay, this is starting now. And it was just pure darkness. I started seeing a lot of colors, and it is so hard for me to remember everything now because it was quite long ago, and usually you can't explain these things. Every time people try to explain it, it is so hard because it's one of these things where you have to be there to really experience it. The only thing I remember was seeing, sort of like going into a lot of dreams, as if I was re-experiencing them again, and they were sort of crossing with reality, and I was going through tunnels and seeing these dreams and being in these dreams again. And then I remember this feeling. So it was this high vibrational feeling, just zooming in, these frequencies, like almost going like this from everywhere into my third eye, into my pineal gland. And it was like this overwhelming buzzing feeling. It was as if I was receiving so much energy from everything, and that is the most distinct feeling I remember. Just all this energy going straight here. I could feel this almost like pulsing and becoming awake. In the middle of the trip, I remember almost falling into this dark place, like slowly. I could feel myself almost losing courage, and then I was like, okay, you know what, like I'm just gonna let it happen. Whatever happens, happens. And as soon as I had that thought, as if I had just accepted death, as if I was not afraid, as if I had just built that courage and said, you know what, I'm just going to let it flow. I'm going to let it be. I'm not going to try and control that situation. Towards the end of my trip, I then remember, okay, so what is the thing I learned? What is the intention? I just suddenly felt an overwhelming amount of love. That is all I felt. Even if I forgot everything in the trip, I just remember that feeling of love, the embodiment of love. And as cliche as it is, it was almost like, to solve all your problems, you just need to simply love everybody, no matter what, no matter the circumstance. And after this, as I am thinking about this concept of love, I guess it doesn't have to mean associating yourself with someone. If someone is negative, if someone is toxic in your life, you don't have to associate with yourself with them. You don't have to let them in your life, but you don't have to hate them. When you forgive, when you love, just endless possibilities are created. After, when the trip ended, I was very dehydrated. My lips were cracked, my skin felt very dry and shriveled, so I had to drink a bunch of hydrolytes, electrolytes, water, and then they put me on a hospital bed, actually, because they had a hospital bed right next to it, luckily enough, because I had a private nurse, which was so good. And they put an oxygen mask in me because I was actually lacking oxygen after it. That, like, I haven't heard that from anyone, but I was lacking oxygen. I think that's why they do have it next to it, but also maybe due to the high altitude. During the trip, I forgot this really important part. The shaman sang the Icarus, I don't know how to pronounce it, but it's this very sacred sort of song that they sing, and these words are meant to accompany you throughout your journey. Essentially, it is this chant or this living energy transmission, and the energy that the master receives from the spirit is the energy accumulated during the diet and giving power to his voice and his words. The energy that restores order upset by the disease in the patient's body. So it basically communicates with the spirits of the plants and infuses power the medicine in the patient's body. It is incredibly beautiful, the chant that they sing. Even though you can't understand it, there's just this connection, or this feeling that just resonates in you, and you get to see in another dimension. It helps metabolize visions, remove subjective contents at different levels, guide us in the work of self-examination, and at the same time the bond with present reality. So he was singing this throughout the whole trip. We did a Pachamama ceremony, which is a ceremony, it's an offering to give to the earth, to the land. And so they had like money, they had some leaves, they had some little figurines, and then we burned all of it, and it was just this, it was just so, I was in almost shock. I was like, wow, like I can't believe this is happening right now. It was such a different experience from your normal urban city life. I believe that the ayahuasca journey does not begin when you start ayahuasca, but actually once you finish the trip, when the integration begins. The integration is extremely important because you have to take this amount of knowledge, everything you've learnt from this, and you have to practice it. You have to apply it to now your daily life. And that can be especially hard when you're put back into society, really deconstruct then every single thing and why this happened, and how to heal from this, and what this reveals to you, or about your ego. So I wrote something. I haven't read this in a long time, so this is the first time me reading this in ages. Love runs everything, solves everything, and releases me from my judgments. Letting go of fear is easy when you focus on the light. During my trip, okay, so this is what I felt. During my trip, I felt vibrations all coming together at the same peak point and at different points of my face. There was an on and off frequency that turned on when I could feel the vibrations starting again, along with the introspective nature of my dream, connected to reality and the universe. It's been almost a year now since the ceremony, and it has been hard to integrate it, especially because it was one day and it wasn't like, I wish I had more days to do it. And because I was so young, I felt like I did make the right choice and decision to do this, but I do feel like it was a bit young, and for myself, because I know that people like in their community do it when they're 15. I know communities which do it every week and do it very often. If you are interested in it or planning, this is just a sort of safety precaution sort of thing. Treat it as a medicine, not a drug, because essentially it is there to heal you from any hidden anxieties, to bring the subconscious into the consciousness, to do shadow work, to really realize your true potential. Have a true intention, really set your intentions straight. Also, make sure that you are doing it with the right people. I know a lot of places, because it has become such a commercial, business for tourists, there are a lot of, you could say, I've heard there are a lot of fake shamans out there, or people who overcharge, and the experience has been horrible. So really make sure you do your research before you select the right one. Usually, honestly, ayahuasca shouldn't be too expensive, but it really depends. For example, for my one, it was quite expensive for one day. It was about 400 USD, coming close to 500, which is extremely expensive for one day, because usually it's like 1,000 or 800 for like a week or something. I had nurses there that really helped me throughout, like my own private nurse. I had a volcanic water cleanse, and I did have also other ceremonies on the side, as well as having my own private ceremony. I did my research beforehand, and I found the center. I was like, okay, that's a center I'm going to book, because someone had told me that really good things about it. But when I arrived at Peru, definitely, if you ask around or if you're in a hostel, you're definitely going to meet people who have done it, and they're going to say where they've done it, their own experiences with it, and that's definitely going to help a lot. Because I know that when you go there, I know a lot of people have ayahuasca ceremonies there, and it is extremely cheap and it is really good. I think it was like $50 even for one, or $100, and for like a day, and they have been there. It's amazing. I know people who have friends who are shamans, and that has been amazing because it's a really close ceremony for them. And if you ask around, usually you want to ask the locals as well. Like, they will know the best thing for you. They will know what's a scam, what's not, how much it should really cost. So really do ask around, even tourists, and if they have done it and their experience with it. I'd suggest meditating, having spiritual practices. I would be meditating like a month before, like that. I would recommend that. But if you can't, I find that you can just even meditate for 5 minutes a day. Like, meditating is literally just focusing on the breath. There are so many different types of meditation. You can do it on the bus, on transport, when you're just lying in bed. Focusing on the breath, counting, things like that is all forms of meditation. Practicing mindfulness is really important. Have no expectations going into this. Don't be expecting crazy visuals or what everyone has been telling you, even what I've been telling you. Like, just don't take it as your own and expect that's going to be happening for you. Just, I guess this is my own personal experience. You may have a similar experience to it, who knows? But like, I think just the advice that the shamans and the nurses gave me is really good for me to, I guess, like tell that to you, or bring awareness to certain issues that I had no idea about, or even just the preparation before ayahuasca usually is the same. I'm not advising anyone to do this at all. It is something of your choice. I'm solely educating and bringing awareness to certain issues that I feel like are really important and I feel like could really benefit someone. I think that is all for today. I have said a mouthful. If there are any questions, anything, I'm more than happy to answer them all. I'm not saying I'm no expert at this. I'm only, again, giving my personal experience and from someone who has done it. And if you are young, like, maybe you can resonate with me. But yeah, if you do have any questions, feel free to leave a comment or send me a message. Instagram is vanessa.bells. And yeah, if you want more videos like this, don't forget to subscribe. I will be giving a lot more talks about spirituality, about experiences, a lot of travel videos. I just really want to bring light to a lot of issues I feel like should be more discussed, maybe in mainstream media, or to simply entertain, or simply maybe give you a different perspective on life. And I feel like, yeah, I want to use my voice and use this platform to do so. So if you want to hear more from me, turn your post notifications on. Like this video if you liked it, give it a thumbs up down below, and I think that is all for me. Yeah, I will see you guys in my next video. Stay safe, please, and be mindful and spread love. I think the message is spread love is so powerful. Love is so powerful, honestly. But yeah, all right, I'll see you guys later.